Three different species, living in one town, pretending everything is fine. Humans, vampires, zombies. But here's the problem. The moment fear enters the system, everyone turns on each other, and it becomes chaos. Because right when they start destroying themselves, something far more dangerous arrives. In a city named Dilford, in Ohio, famous for its riblets, and for being one of the only places where humans, vampires, and zombies coexist. But let's be real, coexist is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. Vampires sit at the very top of the social order, zombies are second-class citizens, and humans are stuck somewhere in the messy middle. The movie opens with Dag and Lorelei sprinting desperately, a massive horde of vampires right on their heels. Behind them, a huge explosion rips through the night. They keep running, hearts pounding, when suddenly another human gets snatched and torn apart right in front of them. No time to process it, they barely dodge a flaming police car barreling toward them. With nowhere else to go, they duck into a nearby house to hide. But the second they step inside, the place is already packed with zombies. And just like that, the vampires start smashing through the doors and windows. One vampire lunges through the broken door and grabs Lorelei. Dag reacts instantly, yanking her free while the living room turns into a bloodbath. Dozens of monsters, vampires and zombies, start ripping into each other in a brutal free-for-all. The chaos doesn't stop until another police car smashes straight into the house, punching a massive hole in the wall. And through that hole, they see it. An alien spaceship hovering silently above the town. I guess you're asking yourself, how did this whole mess start? But don't worry, sit and grab a cup of coffee, let me explain it to you. This whole mess starts at school the day before. On a Friday morning, Dag is hyped, telling his best friend he's finally about to sleep with the popular girl, Lorelei. His friend immediately shuts it down. Bro, she's just using you to hide her weed. Dag refuses to believe it, but when they actually meet her, she barely even looks at him. Meanwhile, sweet goth Petra is flirting hard with the popular vampire Milan. They're chatting about the upcoming vamp party when nerdy Ned tries to get to his locker behind them. Milan snarls, shoves him away, and another vampire knocks him to the ground. Dag sees the whole thing from across the hall, but just walks away. Later, Ned confronts vampire teacher Keller in the teacher's lounge, who's casually browsing dating sites. Ned asks why he got an F on a clearly good essay. After a long rant, Keller admits the essay was fine, he just felt like failing him. At lunch, Petra's goth friends warn her that Milan is bad news. She brushes it off, until she sees him pushing and insulting Ned again. On the baseball field, the coach and Rick, the guy who fired Dag's mom from the riblet factory, notice Dag has real pitching talent. But under pressure, especially when Chaz, Ned's arrogant brother, steps up to the plate insulting Dag and showing off for Lorelei, Dag chokes and beans Chaz right in the face. While everyone rushes to help Chaz, Lorelei is impressed by Dag. That evening at the vamp party, Petra and Milan are getting hot and heavy in a trailer. When Milan tries to bite her neck, Petra stops him. He reveals he's already been with Lorelei and wants something more special with her. Flattered, she lets him bite. Back at Ned's house, Chaz Sr. scolds Chaz for getting injured, calling him useless if he can't play. Ned tries to leave the table but gets mocked for disliking riblets. Even though he's allergic to meat and the riblets are loaded with sketchy chemicals called TXP. The argument turns ugly. His parents follow him to his room, dismiss his dreams, and tell him to settle for less. Hurt, Ned storms out of the house. At Dag's place, he tries to get close with Lorelei, but she's too busy smoking the blunt she's stashed under his bed. When Dag confesses he's in love with her, she laughs it off and sneaks out the window. His parents walk in, find the blunt, and think it's his. They're surprisingly supportive and try to warn him about a big body change coming soon. Dag assumes they mean something sexual and quickly says goodnight. That same night, Ned wanders into the humble zombie neighborhood. A kind zombie girl from lunch approaches him. Fascinated by how calmly everyone gets along, Ned asks her questions about zombie life. When someone drives by and throws something at her, she doesn't even flinch. Jealous of their unfeeling nature, Ned convinces her to bite his foot so he can become a zombie too. He then joins a zombie family for dinner and takes his first bite of canned brains. Meanwhile, Petra waits alone in her room, frustrated that Milan won't reply to her texts. The bite mark on her shoulder burns worse, and when she looks in the mirror, she has no reflection. Terrified and hungry, she sneaks to the supermarket for blood products, hides from a friend who spots her, and drinks it secretly in shame. Dag is outside practicing baseball when all three teens suddenly notice a bright light in the sky, a massive alien spaceship hovering silently above the town. The next few days, the town spirals. Rick gathers the humans at the high school gym and suspects the vampires have already made contact with the aliens. At the blood bank, Keller rallies the vampires, claiming humans are conspiring against them. Both sides give fiery speeches and agree to launch preemptive strikes. In the zombie district, brain rations stop arriving. Ned gives a calm but powerful speech explaining that nobody actually cares about zombies, then leads them out for revenge. That night in the town square, all three groups collide in an all-out bloody battle. People kill each other with whatever they can grab. No mercy, no recognition of friends or family. Dag finds Lorelei by his car and tries to scold her for being careless, but the moment she suggests they get frisky, he forgets everything and drives off with her. Petra confronts Milan. He admits he only seduced her to quench his thirst, pushes her against a wall, and tosses her into a car before leaving. At Dag's house, while he and Lorelei are about to hook up, a vampire drags a screaming human inside and murders them right on the floor in a bloody mess. They escape through the window, only to get jumped by more vampires outside. Chaz Sr. suddenly appears like a total badass, armed with wooden stakes. He fights with incredible skill, creating showers of blood, and tells the teens he's been training for this day, right before a horde overwhelms and kills him. He quickly comes back as a zombie. A furious, fully turned Petra joins the vampires chasing Dag and Lorelei. They dodge a flaming police car and hide in a random house packed with zombies, including Ned and a cute little dog. Vampires smash in, and chaos erupts. Petra desperately jumps on Lorelei to bite her. Dag finally snaps, pushes Petra down the stairs, falling with her, then stakes vampires using a sharp wooden object and a wooden fish ornament. Ned bites a vampire's thumb off and spits it back in his face. A police car crashes through the wall, crushing another vampire. Now only Dag, Petra, and Ned remain. They step outside and see aliens emerging from smoky substance, tentacles stabbing people and destroying everything. In shock, Dag leads them to his piano teacher Mrs. Miller's hidden bunker. Her paranoid son Stuart quizzes Dag with ridiculous questions before letting them in. But the moment Dag turns around, Petra and Ned are already eating Mrs. Miller and Stuart. Horrified, Dag is convinced by Petra that it's them or survival. Hours later in the bunker, they talk. Petra calls Dag out for hesitating when Lorelei was in danger. They discover that the longer Ned goes without eating brains, the more his intellect returns. Dag worries about his family and wants to leave. The next morning, Petra collapses in sunlight. Dag quickly strips off his clothes to cover and save her. They split up to reach the school. Dag stumbles into a clothesline and falls, but when an alien approaches, it completely ignores his naked body. At school, a still-naked Dag explains what happened. Ned theorizes the aliens only detect inorganic material in clothes. In the cafeteria, Ned admits he chose to become a zombie on purpose. Dag gets judgmental, but Ned reminds him how he ditched their middle school friendship because Ned was a loser, despite once admiring his hacking skills. Embarrassed, Dag confesses the truth and feels awful. Later, Petra finds Dag sulking in an empty boiler. They open up to each other. She cries about always feeling inferior to Lorelei. They start kissing and getting intimate, until Dag panics, thinking she's about to bite him. Hurt, Petra walks away. When aliens get closer, all three strip completely naked and walk through town. It works, no alien notices them. Rain starts, so they rush to Dag's empty house, grab some clothes, then hear noise from the basement. The power cuts out. An alien grabs Ned with its tentacle. Dag tries to pull him free, but Ned jumps in front, takes the hit for him, and disintegrates. Petra chops the alien's head off. Devastated, Dag stares at an old photo of him and Ned as kids, guilt-ridden that he never defended Ned at school. Suddenly Ned reappears intact. The aliens don't kill, they teleport, and Ned has figured it out. They're after the TXP chemical in the riblets. The trio heads to the riblet factory wearing organic cotton to stay invisible. Rick only lets them in after humiliating Dag, but then refuses to help, saying the town deserves what it gets, until Ned accidentally eats Rick's girlfriend. Kicked out, Dag comes up with a plan. Get deliberately stabbed by an alien to be teleported to where everyone is held. It works. They wake up in a giant superstore, each species separated by force fields. Milan tries to bite Petra again. She punches him hard in revenge. Ned reunites with his now zombie family, who apologize and reconcile. Dag finds his parents and discovers Lorelei survived, but is now a vampire from Petra's bite. On the other side of the field, Ned realizes they can overload the force fields with a massive DOS-style attack by having everyone slam into them at once. After arguing about who should die, Dag gives a heartfelt speech, but it's his dad chanting USA that finally gets everyone charging. They short out the system. Outside, Rick shoots at them at first, But Dag's second speech plus the crowd chanting Rick's name strokes his ego enough to open the factory gates. Aliens follow. Rick lures the giant alien mechs to the unprocessed riblet vat. The suits open, revealing tiny aliens inside that dive into the TXP and fuse into one giant, glowing alien. It explains it came peacefully for the TXP, but locked everyone up to protect them from their own violence. Then quotes Billy Joel to shame them. Petra calls it condescending. Rick throws a wrench. The giant alien goes berserk. In the chaos, Petra accidentally dislodges an ammonia hose. The chemical starts melting it. Milan grabs Petra and drags her away. Remembering her words about hesitation, Dag doesn't wait this time. He jumps Milan. The full moon hits Dag through a window, triggering the big body change his parents warned about. He transforms into a werewolf. In a fair fight, werewolf Dag overpowers Milan and impales him on a wooden spike, causing him to explode. The townspeople spray more ammonia, shrinking the giant alien into a small, wrinkly creature. It summons its ship and launches a subatomic bomb. Ned, finally getting his moment, catches it perfectly and tosses it to Dag, who throws a perfect pitch and blows up the spaceship. A few days later, the town is rebuilding and students return to school. Dag is suddenly popular. Lorelei tries to flirt with him again, but he turns her down and goes straight to Petra. The new couple sneaks off to get frisky under the bleachers while Ned happily bonds with his brother Chaz and the zombie girl. Let me tell you some of the things you may have missed in this movie. When you really sit back and think about this story, it's not actually about vampires, zombies, or aliens. It's about people. Because every single group in this movie made the same mistake. They chose fear over understanding. Think about it for a second. The humans assumed the vampires were plotting. The vampires believed the humans were planning first. And the zombies? They were ignored for so long that when they finally had a voice, they chose revenge. This is not random. This is exactly how real societies collapse. Every character represents a mindset. Dag, he's the average person trying to fit in, afraid to stand up for what's right until it's too late. And that moment with Ned? That guilt he carries. That's what happens when you stay silent in the face of injustice. Petra, she's driven by validation. She ignored every red flag just to feel chosen. And when the truth hits her, it breaks her identity. Ned, he might be the most important character, because he chose to become something else, just to escape pain. Think about that. How far can someone go just to stop feeling? This movie quietly teaches something powerful. People don't react to truth. They react to fear and perception. Once a group believes they're under threat, logic disappears, and actions become extreme. You see it everywhere in real life. Social groups, communities, even friendships. Once trust breaks, chaos follows. Now here's something most people miss. The aliens? They were never the real villains. Look closely. They didn't attack first. They observed. They reacted. And when things got out of control, they tried to contain it. Which means, the real destruction of the town started before the aliens even acted. Let that sink in. Also, that whole TXP riblet thing? It's not random. It symbolizes how something small and ignored can become the center of a massive conflict. So what can you actually take from this? Simple. Don't wait until everything breaks. Before you start thinking clearly, speak up early, question narratives, and never let fear decide your actions. Because once fear takes control, you stop thinking, and you start reacting, and that's when mistakes become irreversible. And honestly, the saddest part of this story isn't the chaos. It's the fact that all of it was avoidable. If just one group had paused, listened, or tried to understand the other, none of this would have happened. But that's the reality. People don't slow down until it's too late. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video and subscribe to join the D Billions family. Because here, we don't just watch movies, we understand them. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.